Hey guys, welcome back to the All Out Soccer podcast. Myself, Jeremy Goldstein, my co-host, Joseph McBride. We're two football fans talking about soccer. We focus on a fusion of the MLS, the US men's and women's soccer teams, and all the build-up to the 2026 World Cup. Joe, I would ask you how you're doing, but I know we're both a little stressed because we just got a bomba in the last hour related to 2 lifetime bans for MLS players, a completely unprecedented situation. We're going to get into that first. Obviously, top of the show. I mean, it's more important than anything that happened this week. Besides that, Joseph McBride, how you doing?
Besides that, I'm really good. The snow's finally melting. It's been doing my head in for the last few weeks. But lots to talk about. I mean, it's an absolutely packed one this week.
Yeah, I know we have some viewers from Mexico and Canada who just may not be able to understand the New York seasonal experience of it being 14 degrees Fahrenheit one week and then 68 degrees like 3 days later. And there's these massive piles of snow that just accumulate on the side of the road that just like are still here, and I'm wearing shorts. And it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, some of the snow I've been up in Canada is insane. But yeah, the swings does not make sense. I mean, I do Celsius still, but being able to go out in shorts one day and then needing 10 layers the next is something that I still will never get over, I don't think.
Well, Joe, the U.S. just beat Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic, so I think the era of the metric system is no longer. Anyway, we're going to start off the show talking about this little betting scandal. Before we talk, we have to talk about Miami this week for so many reasons. They were at the White House with Donald Trump. Lionel Messi met Trump for the first time. Some Messi contract details were revealed. They played in front of 75,000 people in Washington, D.C. We're going to do a power MLS recap of some teams we don't always cover, including Real Salt Lake. Joe, they're in the mix. After a break, we're going to get in some U.S. men's national team bits and bobs before, and if we have time, some World Cup news around the globe. Joe, I'm going to let you lead with this one. Yaya Boa, MLS Cup champion with the Columbus Crew, and
Derek
Jones are no longer able to play in the MLS.
Yeah, so they were on the same roster on the Columbus Crew in 2024, like you said, MLS Cup champions, obviously Leagues Cup that year as well. They were placed on administrative leave in that season due to a betting investigation by the MLS. Derek Jones is currently unattached, and Yaya Boa has gone and signed with China, in China. Yeah, they have been given a lifetime ban for these breaches following an investigation. They found that both players placed bets in MLS on their own team and even on themselves. In particular, there was a bet placed on Jones in particular to receive a yellow card, and he did do so. So MLS has come down really, really strong on them. Obviously, they can go and play in other leagues if they're allowed, but they will never, ever be allowed to sign a contract again in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, just reading the statement from Don Garber here. Major League Soccer remains steadfast in its commitment to match integrity. The league will continue to enforce its policies, enhance education efforts, and advocate for the elimination of yellow card wagering in all states to protect the integrity of our competition for clubs, players, and fans. Yeah, not good. I mean, look, we don't talk about sports betting on this podcast. Would we welcome a sports betting partnership? That's a conversation for off camera. But it's just the blatant lack of integrity here. And again, the more prop bets that are offered, the easier it is to fix a game.
Yeah, well, it's becoming a real big problem in all sports, really. But obviously in soccer specifically, we've had Lucas Paqueta in England face allegations, Ivan Toney, Sandro Tonali was actually suspended once he joined Newcastle in the Premier League, dating to offences back in AC Milan in his native Italy. With the rise of sports betting and how accessible it is, and all sorts of syndicates coming in and offering players insane amounts of money and sometimes it's to even offload debts. It's a real big issue at the moment. But yeah, fair enough for MLS for coming down hard on them. And it's definitely something that's got to be looked at, I think, in the wider sports scene, to be honest.
It's a lifetime ban. This isn't a year suspension. This is a lifetime ban, which, I mean, fair play to the MLS. They conducted this investigation thoroughly and found it conclusive. The thing that's interesting to me is with MLS players versus someone in the NBA. Obviously, there's that big Terry Rozier situation going on last year for similar things, betting on the unders. MLS players do not make as much money as NBA players. Terry Rozier makes north of $20 million annually, where betting on this seems bizarre from financial decision. I don't know Derek Jones's salary off the top of my head because I haven't looked it up. This was someone who was making conceivably under $500,000 a year, which obviously still someone making between $200,000 and $500,000 a year is a ton of money. Let's not sugarcoat that, but this is, 3 to 4 times that of the average American salary versus, 40 to 50 times or even more, 100 times the average American salary. So this is someone who had a chance to make money and saw the opportunity and thought they could get away with it. So it's going to be interesting to see the fallout from this. I'm interested to see how FIFA reacts to this. Obviously, with sports betting expected to be a massive part of the World Cup this summer, a lot to take note of.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's got to be looked at heavily. The fact, obviously, the World Cup, where betting is now legal in so many countries around the world, everyone is going to be able to place wagers on it, and with so many players and increased amount of teams going as well, it's definitely got to be something that's really, really heavily monitored.
Yeah, it's going to be a capitalistic, pig pen this summer with all these betting companies competing against each other for spotlight, notoriety, ads. So I don't know. This is not what the USA soccer would have wanted at this time.
No, not a great lead up to the World Cup, especially we've just reached 100 days away. But yeah, I mean, they've put a statement out. They've made a statement in doing this, so hopefully it won't happen again, but you never know.
Speaking of domestic issues with the World Cup, I wouldn't say this is an issue yet, but Donald Trump just being in office is always someone who's going to have his fingertips on all things World Cup related. And he was delighted to welcome Lionel Messi and the 2025 MLS Cup champion Inter Miami to the White House on Thursday. Joe, you were live reporting during this as a journalist and as a enjoyer of the MLS. What did you make of this circumstance?
Bizarre. Nothing surprises me anymore since I've moved here, unfortunately. But yeah, I didn't know if Messi was going to go. That was the big debate. Obviously, Ronaldo had been, it would be compared. He was there. The only one that really wasn't there from Miami was David Beckham. That's because he was in England supporting his son, which is, family issue is another thing we're not going to talk about right now, but look that one up if you're interested. Yeah, really bizarre. I mean, obviously, they were there to be honoured for the championship. It took 10, 15 minutes for Trump to even acknowledge them being there because he was talking about Iran and tariffs and all sorts of stuff going on in the world, which obviously is his job, but he was there for Miami. Then made some interesting comments about how attractive the roster was, saying there's no bad looking guys in Miami, which again was a bit odd. It was quite a comedic moment. He spoke about Ronaldo, of course he did. He then compared Messi with Pele, who he claimed to have seen at the New York Cosmos back in the 1970s, said that Messi was a bit better, which, obviously a big honour, but probably I agree with. I haven't seen Pele myself, of course. But yeah, the whole thing was just odd. And of course, it ended with him being handed a Miami, Trump 47 jersey. Suarez was there. Rodrigo de Paul was called out. Even Tadeo Allende received a shout out from the US president for his stunning run in the playoffs. Just a bizarre situation. MLS clubs don't go every year like a lot of other teams do. But this was a big moment. Obviously, the timing of it for them, PR-wise, might have been a bit interesting. But it happened. It wasn't too bad. And yeah, Lionel Messi has shaken hands with Donald Trump.
He has shaken hands with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was alerted of Messi's greatness, apparently, by Barron Trump, his son, who was a high school soccer player who now attends NYU. Trump likes winners. Messi is a winner. Messi is a World Cup winner. Messi could be another World Cup winner this summer in the United States, so they could very well much meet again. I mean, with the whole team going, it would have been surprising if Messi was the only one to not appear. He didn't say anything, so it's not like this adds any fuel to the fire. And honestly, Trump overpowered any individual moment he could have had with Messi by talking about the conflict in Iran. So honestly, for Messi, that was just kind of a show up, play this sort of similar character he always plays of being kind of blissfully ignorant and unaware of everything around him and just showing up and smiling, which it's a remarkably consistent shtick, whether intentional, very craftily concocted, I don't know. But Messi's this whole nonchalant, shoot a smile and whatever gimmick he's done his whole career. It works out in a situation like this where he can make this entirely apolitical. So I will say that about the experience.
Yeah, I don't think Miami could have afforded Messi not to be there. The story would have been about him snubbing it. So fair enough, he went, and like you said, he was nodding. I know he understands a bit of English, but I think the majority of the time he didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, wild few days.
Yep, and there were some memes about Luis Suarez looking on behind with Trump's ear. Obviously, the jokes write themselves, but not going to get into this for the sake of this podcast. Anyway, one of the Miami co-owners this week did an interview with Bloomberg, the Jorge Mas, where he was asked about how much money he thinks Lionel Messi makes a year, estimated the figure to be between $70 and $80 million. Per the MLS, Messi has a $12 million base salary, which is still the highest in the league. That contract goes to the end of the 2029 season. Certain bonuses, performance bonuses, pay him up to $20 million annually just in official MLS salary. The rest comes from equity. Those are deals with Apple. Those are deals with Adidas, who both have major stakes, obviously, in the MLS. Moss, speaking with Bloomberg, said, the reason that I have sponsors and for them to be world-class is because players are expensive. I pay Messi, who's worth every penny, but it's $70 million to $80 million a year across everything. 55% of Miami's revenue comes from sponsorships and other commercial deals. Media rights are only 2% of the club's revenue. Obviously, Miami is worth about $1.4 billion, a number that is rapidly rising. But, it was a pipe dream to get Messi to the MLS. Ronaldo makes hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars playing Saudi Arabia, where the rules are much more relaxed. But honestly, it's still worth it, but this is what you have to do to attract someone of that quality who's getting 75,000 people through the door for a game in DC in early March.
The money's insane. I don't think he's going to be taking yellow card prop bets. I don't think he needs to really with that kind of salary. But like you said, he is worth every penny or every cent in this country. What he brings to MLS and that franchise alone, he's made that franchise worth over $1 billion himself since moving. Absolutely insane salary. We kind of knew that he would be getting paid the majority away from his salary, but seeing the actual figure be announced, and that's what he said, it might even be more. You never know, but that is a significant figure. And
it's funny. I had the same initial thought about it. He could be downplaying this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He might be, but the fact that not just him, of course, they're the champions and DC was nearby, but to sell out, as you will get onto, the M&T Bank Stadium basically on his own is incredible.
Do you want to talk about that 2-1 game?
Let's do it.
All right, Joe, walk us through what happened in this one.
Well, it was an interesting game, a bit closer than I was expecting it to be perfectly honest. It looked like they were going to run away with it to begin with. Rodrigo de Paul opening the scoring, days after being congratulated by Donald Trump for his amazing ability last season. I'm not sure how much he saw of it, but he did. It was all work, really, actually, from Berterame. He is looking like a proper pit bull up front. His press is insane. Basically wrestled the ball off the defender, played it steered to the box. De Paul, beautiful finish to make it 1-0. Shortly after, Silvetti and Lionel Messi linking up once again. They have a really nice partnership and a trademark Messi dink over the goalie to make it 2-0. That was how the first half ended. DC did pull one back. Ty Baribo continuing his strong start to the season. Made it 2-1. That is how it ended. But a record attendance for them, I believe, over in Maryland. And a great spectacle. Messi scoring his 899th career goal, one away from 900. So the fans got what they paid for, I guess.
Yes, they did. Obviously, Messi in Miami this week. Tough draw in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against getting Nashville this early. That's one that I thought maybe there'd be some rotation. Obviously, we see Silvetti come into the starting lineup, but that's just one for them to monitor this week. They were absolutely fantastic, I thought. They were fantastic in the first half, In the second half, they let DC dominate the game and completely get back into it. I don't know. It's still early. That Messi chip is just it breaks all XG models because only him from there doing that is an efficient shot. When anyone else does it, if you haven't seen the second goal for Miami from Messi, please look it up. If anyone else does it, it's not as guaranteed as he is when he's chipping from there. I thought it was just unbelievable.
It's just muscle memory. I've seen that finish so many times and you still can't stop it. It's insane. It's like the tush push in the NFL. But second half was all DC, which I thought was a good sign for them. They look a lot better this year. And I actually thought, to be fair, that they only conceded one Miami. Their defense looked better as well. So a good result. Obviously, they lost DC, but good for both teams.
Yeah, they did. And the goal came off a deflection. But still, I still don't think Messi and Miami are firing on all cylinders. It was good to see Berterame involved in a goal, obviously pressing very high. There's 72,610 fans in attendance at M&T Bank Stadium. Obviously, this game was moved from their typical place at Audi Field. The game in LA opening weekend against LAFC had an even higher attendance tally at 75,000, but this is a regular occurrence for Messi and MLS of just making teams play at bigger stadiums because it's a totally white whale sort of event. My question for you very quickly, could anyone else come to the MLS and force the team to move from Audi Field to M&T Bank Stadium for a potential sellout? Anyone else in the world?
Other than maybe Ronaldo or maybe even Mbappe, but other than that, not really. I don't
think Mbappe has that motion, unfortunately.
No, maybe just Ronaldo then.
Do you think Ronaldo's getting sellouts? I mean, the novelty of him coming, sure, but I don't know.
I think he would. But yeah, Messi is obviously, because he's moved to MLS, obviously, I think even people in America are always going to kind of settle him as the Messi-Ronaldo debate now, unless they're Manchester United or Real Madrid fans. That's it done.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Joe, I'm not going to let you talk about Toronto this week, even though it was a positive one. No Jeff Sargent yet, though. I was hoping to see him on the field, but I'll kick it to you. We're going to do a quick power 4 minutes of each of 4 different MLL games that we really, really wanted to cover. Just crazy news week that, kind of had to shorten everything. But Joe and I are going to spend 60 to 90 seconds on each one. Joe, I'm going to kick it to you for Vancouver to start.
Yeah, another really, really solid performance. 4-1 win away at Portland. Phil Neville's Portland team not looking amazing at the moment. I think they had a strong start, but yeah, they were absolutely outclassed against Vancouver. Brian White opened the scoring, but to be honest, it was the Sebastian Berhalter show the entire game. The first goal to Brian White, it was an unbelievable ball into the box. Brian White just with an instinctive first-time finish. The second goal was scored after half-time by Tristan Blackmon, MLS Defensive Player of the Year. Again, a free kick by Berhalter. It was a bit of a fortunate finish by Blackmon. He headed it and it kind of ricocheted off a defender and hit him in the face again and went in, but they all count. And then Berhalter, after assisting 2 goals, he scored himself. Really, really nice first-time finish near post, following some smart work down the left wing from Aziel Jackson. They did pull one back. Portland, 18-year-old midfielder Eric Iziota scored a screamer, actually, outside of the box, top corner, probably goal of the week, in my opinion, on his MLS debut. And then Brian White still had time to make it 4-1, just a counter-attack at the end of the game. They absolutely dominated Portland. It was one-way traffic, and Vancouver looked really good.
Yeah. We think Vancouver, they're inching up my power rankings. I think they could have a claim for the number 1 spot. We're not talking about San Diego, who also have a claim, but Vancouver really, really impressive to start the season. I want to talk about another team out west who we have not covered this year, and that's Real Salt Lake. 3-2 winners on the road against Atlanta. Atlanta finally got their first 2 goals of the season. A pair of goals from Alexei Moranchuk, starting on the right wing. A nice assist from Emmanuel Latte Lath for the second one. But what is this Salt Lake team? They play really, really frenetic football. They play in a 3-5-3, and they started a bunch of teenagers. Sergi Solan's first MLS start after being the best college player in the country last season, arguably at UCLA. Aiden Hazarkani started on the left. Started on the right. He had a very nice goal. Morgan Gilavogi, big DP signing, started at left wing. And then Xavier Gozo at right wing back. He's a natural forward. He's playing out of position. This Atlanta team, I just think looks a little sauceless. There's no Guzan anymore. It's an anonymous midfield and defense. I really, really wasn't too impressed. Gilavogi looked very involved. He found Solans for an opening goal. Hazarkani had a great finish. He's 18, 2 goals in 2 games. And then the strike by Gozo in the 40th minute cuts it into his left. He's a natural right-footed player, finishes off in isolation into the back of the net. This is the player to watch. He talked about post-game about having World Cup dreams now, like this summer. And this is someone, Gozo, who's not really been in the pool. He's only 18 years old and 7 or 8 goal involvements last year. But we're going to talk about an injury at right wing back that could open the door for him. Xavier Gozo, any MLS fan knows who he is at this point, but he is absolutely one to watch for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was an impressive performance, but also, Atlanta, they just they can't buy a win. They can't buy a point. It's looking really, really dodgy for them. But
Almiron looked good. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, he needed to after last year as well. One team that didn't look good was the New York Red Bulls, which is the team I'm going to get onto now. Now, I went there last week, really enjoyed the experience, and obviously until this point, they were 100% in the MLS this season. I'm going to go ahead and say it. No hate towards New York Red Bull at all, but this will be the worst performance in the MLS this season, in my opinion. It was absolutely catastrophic. Could not believe I was watching. I mean, just to preface it, Montreal went to Sports Illustrated Stadium and won 3-0 on the road. We've given Montreal a really, really hard time so far this season and last season, and understandably so. They're not a great team, but they were absolutely handed the easiest of 3-0 wins you'll ever see. All started with a calamitous challenge by Justin Che in the 8th minute. Took on Ivan Jaime to give a penalty away. Stupid challenge, wasn't going anywhere, did not need to happen. And Prince Owusu, former of Toronto, scored from the spot. It was then the Wilkerman Carmona show who scored a brace, one goal just before half-time and the other on the 70th minute. Both goals were just ridiculous. The first goal was, right, as I said, right just before half-time. There was a free kick from a really tight angle, one that you'd have to cross in, or so you'd imagine. He just drilled it along the floor, goal bound. No one challenged it, went straight in. Even Horvath in goal was absolutely furious. And then the third goal was, in my opinion, the worst yet. They tried to play out from the back, clearly not ready to do so, in my opinion. It was Horvath and Che all mixed up, went back to the goalkeeper. He then put Adil Mehmeti under a lot of pressure, who wasn't ready for it, and it was a bad pass. Just got his heels clipped, 3-0. Carmona made it a brace, and every single goal was just so avoidable and just rookie errors. And unfortunately for a team that's looked really, really good, I want to cut them some slack. They're playing a lot of young players. This just screamed like, they're young. They've had 2 wins looking good. This was just complacency at home, not expecting to be challenged by Montreal, and they were really, really shocked.
It's one thing, obviously, to concede sloppy goals, but more concerningly, they didn't create anything this game. Why do you think that happened?
Well, they changed things about. They had Forsberg in a deeper midfield role. They've been starting Julian Hall up front, and Eric Choupo-Moting's been coming off the bench, which as a DP isn't really sustainable in this league. But he kind of came on as a second striker, false 9, number 10. There was a bit of a reshuffle. I liked the idea. I just think it was working up top, and changing it the way they did maybe wasn't the right time to do so. And yeah, when you give a goal away stupidly really early on, and then a free kick just before half time, and you're not creating, it's the worst concoction, really.
Yeah, I wonder if they move on from Choupo-Moting this summer and open the door for another DP, especially if this is a team near the top of the standings and playing in New York. That could be an exciting prospect. All right, quickly, before we go to break, I'm going to talk about Colorado 4, LA Galaxy 1. I mean, this was a game that was pretty even for the first 60 minutes. I honestly thought Galaxy were probably angling towards a win. This was a game I caught the end of, and then of course was destroyed by a red card, though admittedly was a second yellow. 2 MLS original sides. Galaxy returned Marco Royce to midfield, what they tried in week 1 when they got a draw. They moved away from Royce in midfield last week and they got the win. Obviously, they have the 3-star forwards, and now Royce makes it 4. It's not the greatest in terms of defensively. Darren Yappi almost opened the scoring, the U.S. young prospect, 20-year-old for Colorado in the 23rd minute. There's an amazing touch by Gabriel Peck in the 56th minute. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Found João Klaus to make it 1-1. And then minutes later, gets sent off for a silly challenge on the wing. It was the second yellow. I was telling Joe before, it kind of looked like the George Dobson tackle on Alejandro Garnacho. For anyone who watched Wrexham versus Chelsea, that was a straight red. The floodgates opened after that. 3 quick goals. I mean, most of them were stupid ricochets, deflections. I don't want to show my LA bias. I think Rafael Navarro, who is a respected longtime MLS goal scorer now, he had 2 for Colorado, who I'm not overly impressed with this Colorado side. Their captain is Rob Holding, which I do find a little funny. Paxton Aronson looked a little more involved this week, but again, it's hard to really analyze this from an LA Galaxy point of view, except Mitrovic, the goalie, did not look great, but red card is a red card, and it ruined the game.
Yeah, I mean, it happened earlier in the season, of course, as well.
And it's 2 and 3 weeks now.
It's something that they, it was a bit of a harsh decision, but at the same time, he didn't need to make it. That's something that they'll iron out, I think, pretty quickly. After 2 early setbacks, I don't think they'll be flying into challenges again anytime soon. It's a shame. They're a decent team. I'm really enjoying watching them. But yeah, they need to snuff out those errors because they're just costing themselves points.
Yep, and just some other things to flag. I want to flag a trio of Western Conference teams who have all won this week to all go perfect 3 for 3 alongside Vancouver. That's San Diego, LAFC, and San Jose, the surprise of the season so far. Timo Werner looks to be in good form. Just some teams we wanted to shout out. Also, I believe Seattle was back on the win sheet this week. Not going well for St. Louis. Seattle 1-0 winners. All right, Joe, we're going to go a quick break, and then we're going to power through some other bits at the end. Hey, if you want to get involved in the conversation, shoot us an email at either jeremy.goldstein@reachplc.com or at joseph.mcbride@reachplc.com. Please engage by subscribing to the show wherever you get your podcast and leave us a like while you're at it. That's the end of part 1 of this week's show, but stick around for part 2 just after the break. All right, Joe, I'm almost out of breath. We need to get through this. We need to power through this, but we're doing a great job. A lot of content early on. We talked about like 6 MLS games in depth, along with news about a betting story, along with a White House story. And now we're going to get to talk about our good old U.S. men's national team. Sergino Dest was injured. I'm going to talk about the ramifications of it in a second, but what was your initial reaction? He looks to be out for quite some time.
I just couldn't believe it. He can't catch a break. I would say that PSV's cursed, or these players are. PSV are dominating the league. They've basically almost won it with like 10 games to spare. But it's just like in a World Cup year, it's just so frustrating. I feel for those guys. Obviously, Pepe and Dest constantly getting injured. It seems like they're never playing on the field at the same time. Just really, really hope that it's not long term and he can come back before the end of the season. Otherwise, that's just rotten luck for him and the US.
Yeah, Peter Bosch, the PSV coach, weird quote. He said he landed on the ground after a full sprint and grabbed his hamstring. That's usually not good news. And they'll said he will be out for the coming period. He said Dest hopes to return for the final phase of the season. He'll give everything in his power to be fully fit. This is a guy coming off an ACL tear last year that limited to just 375 total minutes in all competitions. He's already over 2,700 minutes this year, 6 goal involvements. He played both on right and left back. Super attacking role because PSV plays in a league that is worse than the MLS by far. Against most teams, he's able to do whatever he wants. As we said, PSV is like 20 points clear with like 9 games left. They're out of Europe, but it's sad. It's sad for him. And I just want to say, Alexander Freeman, who recently moved to Villarreal, has under 40 total minutes in 7 games since joining the Spanish side. Not good. Joe Scally, not really a wing back, so it's not a like for like replacement with Dest, though he can play at right center back in a back 3. I think my solution is Tim Weah or Xavier Gozo. I mean, Gozo is just a forward, obviously, if he can cut it on his left foot, and Weah is a touchline winger, but Weah has been playing at right wing back for Marseille. He played there last year for Juventus. He doesn't really have a natural place in the starting lineup unless Pochettino wants to invert him a little bit and play him a little more narrow. But that's my solution right now. But hopefully Dest plays and Weah is that like first option off the bench or that starter at right wing. It's not a good problem.
It's not, but I would respond to that by saying at least it happened now. It sounds weird, but obviously with the 2 international games coming up at the end of this month, big teams, Belgium and Portugal, it'd be, if this happened just after that, you wouldn't have as much time to prepare. It's less than ideal, and hopefully Dest comes back and it's not an issue. He clearly needs to resolve something because his muscles are just, he's not healthy. He needs to do something. But at least Pochettino has the time now with Freeman not really playing, and that kind of position is out for grabs again. He can experiment during these games, and it's against top-level opposition, so you'll really, really find out who needs to be there and who doesn't.
It's sure, but if Dest is to return by late May and wants to play in the World Cup, he's missed 2 of the best pre-World Cup fixtures to get integrated with what will be close to a U.S. starting 11. It's a shame, but hopefully Pochettino's a plan, and even if he does come back fit by the end of the season, this may cost him a spot in the starting lineup. Not his fault, but just...
No. Yeah, it's just rotten luck. But at least Pepe is back, as we know. Yep. Ricardo Pepe is back, subject to transfer interest, according to Fabrizio and not many others. But he's back, and he scored 2 goals in his first 3 games back. He started his first game at the weekend against AZ Alkmaar, scored the winning goal. Really, really good finish. He is just I think he's so good when he's healthy. It's just, again, a concern of when he isn't. But for the moment, he is. And looking ahead, as you said, they're on the verge of winning the league. If they lost the league from here, it would be the worst collapse, I think, in soccer history. They won't. It'll be fine. They're already out of the Dutch Cup, which is a shame for them, but less games. They're out of the Champions League, less games. So I think the priority is for now, and especially when Dest is back, when they've won the league already by then, they want to be playing enough that they're keeping momentum going. But it also gives them an opportunity to not play as intense and make sure they're fit for the World Cup, which I think is a great situation. But yeah, obviously coming back with a point to prove for the World Cup year, Pepe looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, again, it's just going to make this striker conversation for Pochettino all the more difficult. Good. That's a problem you want to have, is too many players in form, not everyone suddenly disappearing. Another bit of news, Cristiano Ronaldo was set to face the U.S. men's national team in Atlanta later this month, but he has an injury that is, quote, more serious than expected and has traveled back to Spain for recovery. Obviously, Portugal is set to face the United States on March 31st in Atlanta. Ronaldo's third in the Saudi League this season with 21 league goals. He is 97 years old, but he is still performing in a league that, has say all over the place in terms of talent quality. At first, I was not concerned. Didn't think Ronaldo was going to make the trip for the U.S. for this game just because of legal issues, but he was at the White House with the Saudi delegation a few months ago. Does seem poised to play in the World Cup this summer, but he's going to sit this one out to recover. That is not... we were talking earlier about who can sell out an MLS stadium besides Lionel Messi. Well, this would have been the test to see if Ronaldo can sell out a stadium. Now it's going to be a test to see if Ruben Diaz can sell out an MLS stadium. Kidding. But yeah, so that's a blow for the U.S. because it would have been very interesting to see them face Ronaldo. Obviously a cult of personality and a selfish player and just someone who would have been interesting to see how the U.S. defense deals against him. But U.S. against Portugal is still going to be an amazing matchup either way, and a useful one.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope that the US could sell it out anyway a couple of months before the World Cup, seeing as their national team is playing. But yeah, if Ronaldo isn't there, that will be a bit of a blow to the whole spectator appeal. I've seen some reports recently that there's actually some sort of legal stuff ongoing with Messi in Vancouver, and it's a whole weird scenario. I know we agree differently on this. We had an argument about it, I think, last season on it. But yeah, I hope he's there just because it'd be cool to see him play against the US, and imagine the US got a win. That'd be generational.
I mean, 2014 World Cup, US should have had a win against Portugal. But yeah, let's see if 75,000 people come to watch Pedro Neto do his little skills and tricks. And then, Joe, last little bit of US men's news.
Yeah, so Pulisic, obviously, we've been hailing in recent months, saying how well he's playing for AC Milan. He's become one of their key players, especially when Rafa Leao was out, and he's on the verge of, in being in contract talks, and it's looking like he's going to extend. Hasn't happened just yet. He's hit a bit of a snag. He hasn't scored in Serie A since December 28th, so he hasn't scored this calendar year at all. And it's led to a bit of backlash in Italy. Obviously, Inter Milan are dominating Serie A, and their city rivals aren't enjoying that. And people have actually called out in Italy Pulisic for taking his foot off the gas, essentially. Not playing at his best, trying to stay fit and stay 100% healthy for the World Cup that's coming up. I think that's ludicrous. Some players just go through, issues like this, and he has had a couple of muscular injuries that's kept him out of the starting lineup at times. And if there's anyone to come to your defence in Milan, it's Andrei Shevchenko, Hall of Famer, legend, amazing soccer player in his day. He said, don't believe the myth that a player of this calibre can already have the World Cup in his mind. It doesn't exist. He says when the player goes on the pitch, he always tries to give his all for the team in that moment. Pulisic has scored important goals, will continue to do so for Milan, the World Cup, and the United States. It's different when a player is guaranteed than essentially fighting for their place. And obviously, he is Captain America. I think the criticism's harsh, but it is like that in elite European teams.
Yeah, it is. Maybe he is taking his foot off the gas a little bit. I don't know. I mean, can't confirm or deny. Milan's form has been a little all over the place this season. Though I want it to be said before you get slated, they were 1-0 victors over Inter Milan over the weekend to make the title race still something. I think they're like 6 or 7 points back. I think AC Milan have like 8 or 9 wins in a row over Inter. It's like the only team Inter can't beat, and Bodo Glimt. But Yeah, just one to watch for Christian Pulisic going forward. I mean, he's going to start for the U.S. and captain the U.S. He could literally sit down on the field every game the rest of the season, and that's still going to happen. But just something to monitor. We talk about everyone else being in good form, including Weston McKennie. Not the same for Christian Pulisic. All right, Joe. 35 minutes in, we're going to very quickly touch on two World Cup topics of completely different political magnitude. One about a player who's set to return, another about a country possibly set to return. I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about Neymar.
Yeah, this is exciting. Obviously, we're saying about players come to the US. This is something that everyone will want to see. Neymar now plays back in Brazil with Santos, which is where he was discovered and went to Barcelona initially. He said it was his dream to get back into the World Cup squad, although he hadn't ever featured in Carlo Ancelotti's Brazilian national squad. That could be set to change. He is apparently being considered for their upcoming friendly matches and to be part of their pre-World Cup roster. In addition to that, Ancelotti is set to go to Santos and watch him play. I mean, the Brazilian league has had a lot of storylines recently. I don't know if you saw that 23-man brawl between Cruzeiro and Atletico Mineiro the other day.
Yeah, bizarre.
So hopefully he doesn't get involved in anything like that. But it's really exciting stuff. He's clearly found his love for football again back in Santos. And I don't think he's going to be a starter or someone that plays 90 minutes anyway for Brazil if he is there. But having him involved in the World Cup would be amazing. I mean, in terms of the modern era, he is Brazil's guy, isn't he? So
the only thing you worry about is if the story becomes more about him than about the Brazil team as a whole. If he's on that team and he's not playing and it cuts to Neymar on the bench looking frustrated and Brazil can't score a goal, when really like they have, would you rather bring on Neymar or Lucas Paquetá? Both play in the Brazilian league at this point. Just an interesting one to monitor. Last little bit here. Iraq are pushing to get into the World Cup. They have a very important intercontinental playoff match. The Lions of Mesopotamia, which is a great name. They'll play the winner of Suriname and Bolivia in Monterrey, Mexico on March 31st. However, Coach Graham Arnold, an absolute mainstay of international soccer, said, please help us with this game because right now we are struggling to get our players out of the country. He wants Bolivia to play Suriname this month and then hopefully Iraq play the winner of those teams like a week before the start of the World Cup. He also added that if Iran, currently in a bit of a war, withdraws from the World Cup, he said, quote, we go into the World Cup and it gives the UAE, who Iraq beat in qualifying, the chance to prepare for either Bolivia or Suriname. Iraqi airspace is currently closed. The team is made up of 60% domestic players. Most of them can't leave the country. We have a mix of players across the world. There are players at Venezia, AEK, Ali Jassim, who formerly of Como, Zidane Iqbal, formerly of Manchester United, now playing in the Dutch league, and my favorite Iraqi player, Ali Al-Hamadi, who was at Ipswich a few years ago, made it all the way to the Premier League. He's back playing League One for Luton and Jack Wilshere's side, but just a random mix of team players for a team that hasn't qualified for the World Cup since 1986. If they can't leave the country and he's forced to play with all foreign players when 60% of the team plays domestically, that's just a major competitive disadvantage. And should FIFA bend their calendar to compromise this when the reason isn't anything besides geopolitical? It's not Iraq's fault that the airspace is closed. I don't know. I don't have an answer because if you say yes to this one, do you say yes to other situations? It opens FIFA up for a situation where they're having to assess everything case by case. But also in this one, this is qualifying for the World Cup and they can't bring 60% of their personnel. I mean, seems to be a big situation, but a lot of other teams could probably use this to be a boy who cried wolf situation and acquaint it across other instances that don't quite line up. So I don't know what happens. I mean, I hope Iraq just get a fair shot at qualifying more than anything. I hope Iran still play in the World Cup because they did rightfully qualify, but, obviously other things come into effect. Any quick thoughts on that, Joe, or anything at all from this all over the place episode today?
Yeah, it's been a lot, isn't it? Jeez. Just based on that, we said last week we want hopefully things to be normal, if that's ever possible in this world by then, and for the world to compete and be united. But yeah, you are right. If you do one rule for one, there's one for another. I mean, not to go into it all too much now, but there's still countries that are banned from competing. So it's, it's an absolute mess that FIFA, the States, everyone's got to sort out whether they can or not. Maybe Infantino regrets being as pally with Trump now. But yeah, this has been all over the place, I think. It's been a good one. We'll see what happens next week. But I hope Neymar's there. I hope Iraq can get there. I hope everyone can get there. Yeah, we're only, 90 days out now? What's going to happen between now and then? Jeez.
Joe's World Cup is going to feature all 220 FIFA participating nations.
Of course, and England will still probably struggle.
England will lose to one of its colonies. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. That just wraps it up for this week's All Out Soccer. He's been Joe McBride. I've been Jeremy Goldstein. We hope you can join us again on the next episode, or as Thomas Muller would say, whose name didn't come up much, Auf Wiedersehen. See ya.